asked earlier, you clarified on that precept in Deuteronomy. He said, "Is this referring to grape, which is how they say rape in TikTok?" You know.
No, this is not referring to assault on a woman. That's not referring to that. Read the part that makes him think that. I remember that years ago. Years ago, there was a ton of fake Israelite groups and Christians that believed that there was a lawful way to assault a woman. That if you assaulted her, you could marry her because you assaulted her. Even though, of course, they don't actually do it. I mean, I'll show you what they don't do. All right, read the precept one more time.
Oh God, it's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 28. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed.
So this is a woman who doesn't belong to another man. No one, she's not promised to anyone. You understand? She's single. She's not promised to anyone at all. Keep going.
And lay hold on her.
And do what?
And lay hold on her.
And do what?
And lay hold on her.
Boy, so many Israelite groups and Christians read that word lay hold, and they thought that meant you could snatch her up at the bus stop. Throw her in the van.
Damn.
That's what when they heard lay hold, that's what they believe. They believe lay hold. You mean strangle. That's the same thing, right?
Nah,
You sure?
I don't think so.
That's what they're okay. They think lay hold me. Bitch, get in that van. Get in the van. No, that disciple of Christ. That's not lay hold. You see, this is a book written by blacks and Latinos, and we speak in slang, right? And so, laying hold of a woman is what words do you use for that down here?
Game, sir.
That's game. You see, you game does not mean you actually roll dice with the woman, right? Or play Monopoly with her, right? I think the kids in Philly, they call it booking a woman, or is that DC?
Riz, no.
Riz, what is that?
Riz.
It's like that's an offshoot of charisma.
That's nice. Riz. So what do you call getting a woman's phone number? A woman saying, yes, I'll go on a date with you, or yes, I'll come see you. Bagging a woman. Now I'm assuming that's a rough one. Throw a bag over the bitch head and kill her.
All right, I'm sure y'all heard enough. And when I'm man, these dudes, man, they something else. I'm gonna start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai, Bashem Rechak Kodash. Double understood the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And so, y'all just heard this the 12 shield general at the ISUPK, in which this individual in the comment section asked to get a breakdown of Deuteronomy 22 and 28, through 30. And he asked, is that referring to grape? Which we all know, because it's a very sensitive, subject matter. And, you got to be careful even using that particular term. But, we all know what he's referring to when he says that, because we use that, in code. But, of course, like usual, he attempted to answer the question by going to the scripture and breaking it down completely wrong, leaning upon his own understanding, which usually, Jake, they get in their emotions when it comes to this. So they're not going to be truthful and honest. So now all of a sudden, when it means to lay hold on a woman, it just means you're just gaming her, you're bagging her, right? And they've always used this, different groups when it comes to this topic. When they go into that, this is how they always broke it down, because they don't want to offend, especially the women that may be watching and listening. They don't want to offend them, right? So their breakdown is, well, this is in hip talk. Y'all know how Jake speak. So it doesn't simply means a physical act. It just means you just bagged her, and you got her. But anybody with enough sense, anybody that's studious. I mean, the scriptures say that the simple believeth every word, but the prudent look well to what's going. If you are diligent, you're going to actually look into it for yourself instead of just taking this man's word for it. All right. He tried to put a little comic relief, trying to explain himself, but it's really on a real one, somebody that's got a working mind is not going to carry over them. All right. So let's go to the actual verse. Because I just randomly tuned in to hear what they was going into, and that happened to come up, and that, I was like, okay, here we go. As soon as that individual asked that question, I already knew what it was going to be, but I was still curious to see how homie was going to break it down, and he broke it down totally wrong. All right, so that's where we come in and we correct it. And this is controversial because, everybody pretty much looks at Great Millstone as the worst, lowest camp because of this topic here, but we don't sweat it, because the Lord said that people are going to be offended. All right. And the Lord said, blessed are they who are not offended in me. All right. You got to accept everything in the scriptures, whether it resonate with your emotions or not. You have to stand 10 toes down on everything that's written. Otherwise, you're really ashamed of your heritage. You're ashamed of the way that the Heavenly Father ordained. So Deuteronomy 22 and 28, and really you would have to start up from like the maybe the 22nd verse, because it's describing the scenarios of marriage. And the first few scenarios is based on a woman who's actually betrothed or engaged, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the Christian Standard Bible. I'm gonna read that version. So let's start up at the 22nd verse, and then we're gonna read down. Deuteronomy 22 and 22 in the CSB. It says, if a man is discovered having sexual relations with another man's wife, both the man who has sex with the woman and the woman must die, because obviously that's adultery, right? You must purge the evil from Israel. If there is a young woman who is a virgin engaged to a man, so she ain't been touched physically, but she's engaged. So she's basically married just without the consummation, because she's promised to a man. And another man encounters her in the city and sleeps with her. Take the two of them out of the gate of that city and stone them to death. So whether she's physically married or whether she's engaged to be married, she's off limits. Any man that touches her, he's in violation. All right. He's committing the act of adultery. All right. And if the woman is cool with it and she has that affair, she's also in violation. She's to be put to death right along with the man that she slept with. So that's what the law is describing. It says, take the two of them out of the gate of that city and stone them to death. The young woman, because she did not cry out in the city, and the man, because he violated his neighbor's fiance. See that? So she didn't cry out, so she was with it. And the man, he pretty much took another man's fiance, right? And he probably was promised that woman, for some years. And she finally came of age or was ready for the marriage. The family was ready for it. And before they even got a chance to go into the marriage chamber, she's discovered that her hymen has already been broke. She played the whore. And now the father, he got to miss out on his, his dowry. That investment is all screwed up because another man decided to, violate his daughter, who he was going to give to someone else. You just messed up a business deal, you know? But anyway, it says, but if the man encounters an engaged woman in an open country and he seizes and grapes her, you know, I gotta I gotta put the Jeep on the G on there, you know, just to cover myself. Only the man who graped her must die. Do nothing to the young woman because she is not guilty of an offense deserving death. This case is just like one in which a man attacks his neighbor and murders him. All right, so you know she's not worthy of death because she tried to fight him off and he overpowered her. She screamed, she yelled, tried to fight him off, and you know his strength just overpowered her. So there was nothing she can do. So he's worthy of death, that guy. All right. Now the next scenario, it says, verse 20. Let me read verse 27. It says, when he found her in the field, the engaged woman cried out, but there was no one to rescue her. There was no, men nearby to actually hear what was going on. So, she pretty much, she has to give in. Right. It says, if a man encounters a young woman, now this is a different scenario, and you're going to see what makes this scenario different than the previous ones. A virgin who is not engaged. So she is not a fiance. She is not promised to no man. So she happened to be a young girl. All right. Not promised to anyone. And a man happens to see her. Right. She doesn't have on an attire that indicates that she's taken. So she's out there. So she's food because she's out there. Right. And this dude, he filled with testosterone and doesn't have any self-control. So you already know what's about to happen. It says, takes hold of her and grapes her. This is in the CSB. These different translations is pretty much showing you what the context of this is. This woman is not betrothed. And he does the same thing that the man in the previous scenario did. But he was worthy of death because the woman screamed out. She cried out because she was already taken or promised to someone. This woman here isn't promised to anyone. So this man in this scenario does the same thing. Right? And it says, and they are discovered. It be found out. The man who grapes her is to give the young woman's father 50 silver shekels, and that's the dowry. And she will become his wife because he violated her. He cannot divorce her as long as he lives. And that's the penalty. The last part of this verse is the penalty for doing that. Since you did that, yeah, she wasn't promised to anyone, but since you did that, she's now your wife and you can never put her away. As long as you're alive, you can never put this woman away. So now you have to take care of that woman. You have to provide and protect that woman now. Since you did that. And this law was put there just so that men can understand. This would actually alleviate that problem. They would know that they would have to be held responsible. So you would basically like, nah, because I don't know how that woman will be in our marriage. I just looked at her in the moment and she was beautiful and I couldn't contain myself. And now you didn't even get a chance to, see how she, was groomed up. You never got to, see her character or anything. You just jumped the gun. And now you got to deal with this woman for the rest of your life. What's so hard about understanding that? Why do dudes get so just bent out of shape and emotional about this? What's wrong with this? There's even sisters that can see this and they don't even have a problem with it. They don't get emotional like that when it comes to this because they can see that it's crystal clear, it's plain in the law. These other dudes, they get emotional and they start dwells in. All right. So this dude here, he's breaking it down according to how he feel it should be broken down. And I'm pretty sure Captain Tazaryak, he would have broken it down in a similar way. All the groups that don't agree with that, this is their angle. He thinks to siege a woman means to strangle her. Come on, man. Tazaryak, with all those debating skills and knowing all this information, this is how y'all break that down? That's not what it means to lay hold. You're not strangling a woman, choking her out. You know, they saying that basically we're making it lawful to assault a woman. Come on, man. But he has to paint it in that picture. He has to say it that way because they got to show that they're definitely indifferent to the true understanding of this law. All right, and you know the women are they're paying attention, they're watching. All right, that was totally off. This dude, disciple of Christ, that you know he asked this question, and I think he already know the answer to it, but he was just still asking that question to see what they're gonna say and how they're gonna break it down. And if this dude got any sense, if the spirit is working with him, he'll see that they ain't got it over here. Because I'm reading it and internalizing what it's actually saying, and they're saying something completely different. Like lay hold doesn't mean what it actually means. And I always say, by their logic, if that's what that means, then what about in the previous chapter where it talks about dealing with a rebellious son, a stubborn and rebellious child? Deuteronomy 21 and was it starting at 19? Because it uses the same Hebrew word as well. Deuteronomy 21 and 19, it says, let me start at 18. It says, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them. So they did all they could. They tried to sit him down, tell him, hey, you need to stop being lazy, man up, you're getting too big. He ain't trying to listen to him. And then they start, whipping his ass, and that ain't doing nothing because he's big now, right? This is the next step. Then shall his father and mother lay hold on him. So using their logic, because they said lay hold just simply means, you just gaming them or you bagging them. So what, they're bagging their own son to bring him out to the elders of the city? Using that logic. No, you finna get physical with your son. You finna snatch his ass up and bring him forcefully to the elders of the city. As they dragging him, he's using his strength to kind of push away from them, and so it's gonna take both the mom and the dad to drag his ass out. So lay hold doesn't mean what they're saying it means. And we went through this before. What does it actually mean? The word is tapash in the Hebrew, and it simply means to siege, chiefly to capture. All right? To catch, handle, lay hold of, siege. To lay hold of, siege, arrest, catch. Okay? You look it up in a simple Google search. To take hold of suddenly and forcibly. Is why you know the meaning of words, everything becomes simplified to you. All right, word synonyms: grab, to grasp or seize suddenly or roughly, and that's in that case with the rebellious son. You have to rough him up. and drag him, snatch him up, bring him by force, because he's not going to willfully go out to the gate, outside of the gate of the city in front of the elders, so he can get put down. So you got to forcibly snatch him up. When the cops come and get you, they know you're not going to just willfully surrender yourself. So what do they usually do? They grab you up. They put you in a certain hold or position so that they can slap them cuffs on you and then put you in the squad car, because it's an arrest. It says right here, grab hold, take hold, laid hold of, catch or gain possession of, lay one's hands on. Like, come on, man. So that's simply just what that means, okay? And that's literally what the word grape mean. All right, when you look at it in the etymology. So they're supposed to lay hold on him and bring him out to the elders of the city and unto the gate of the place. And they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones that he die. So shalt thou put away evil from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. So that was the law on that. So back at Deuteronomy 22, in this encounter, you know, we're not snatching up a rebellious son, all right, to get him put down. This man, he's acting alone on his own, and he went and saw a woman that's not promised to another man, and he snatched her up. He overpowered her. All right. Whether she agreed to it or not, whether she gave consent or whether she didn't, this is that circumstance. And because he did that, now the father has to be notified, and he ain't gonna really be happy, but at least he's gonna get compensation, which is that dowry, that the 50 shekels of silver. So the father is gonna be, you know, taken care of after that. He's just got paid. But now his daughter got to go and be a servant up under that man. And that man can't put her away all his days. Okay? So these dudes, you know, they get emotional when it comes to these type of topics, but they claim to be no cowards. You know? And, you know, if you can't break down a simple law like this, then you really are not qualified to even teach. But these guys get these high-ranking positions. You know, the dude calls himself a 12 shield general. You know, let me get 1 Timothy 1:6, and I'm gonna read this one in the NLT. And it says, 1 Timothy 1:6 says, but some people have missed this whole point. They have turned away from these things and spent their time in meaningless discussions. They want to be known as teachers of the law of Moses, but they don't know what they are talking about. And even though they speak so confidently, we know that the law is good when it's used correctly. All right. And, you know, he was confident because he was, you know, shooting jokes while he's trying to explain it. Got the people in there laughing, you know, making it very entertaining, and people tune in and they like being entertained, you know, while they listen. We shoot it straight forward. All right. Sometimes we might have a little fun with it, but for the most part, we're definitely serious. We don't play with the words of the Most High, man. So this was a horrible explanation on this breakdown, because that's simply not what lay hold means, and he couldn't go to the precept to back up his argument. I went to one. I went to the previous chapter where it uses the same action verb, lay hold. So let's hear a little more of what he had to say, and then we'll close it out.
God dang, y'all better think of a different one. Sisters, y'all get home safe. Somebody, I don't know what's going on with it.
Then they gotta gaslight you and insult you, just for asking that. They're really not about it like they portray themselves, man. When it comes down to it, a lot of these men, they're really not about that. Like to be very selective with the scriptures. So, yeah. So now the brother, whoever this is, he has to be, gaslighted and insulted, made to look like a fool for asking this question. But it's clearly there, So these dudes, they clearly ain't right. They're not true teachers of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. If this guy that asked that question, if he's like the Church of Berea, he'll do his own research. He will go into the other translations where it literally says the word out. All right, it used the Greek word in it. The Christian Standard Bible that I went into, y'all saw that. You can go into the other translations, you'll see it. They'll either use the R word or they'll use the S word, siege. And those words are interchangeable because they mean the same thing. And this is all we've, tried to say, in accordance with that particular scripture for people to understand it. It was not that we were out there advocating for men to do it because it's in there. We've always simply maintained our stance on it. That this law is put in place in case if this was to ever happen, this is how you go about it. We've always said that. But people, they heard what they wanted to hear, and now, a great millstone, you can go and grape women or children, and everybody that's made them kind of statements at us or against us, you're gonna have to give an account in a day of judgment, every idle word. All right, false witnesses will not escape. So, yeah, this guy, they're good at putting on theatrics. They talk a good game. They like to speak, but they don't serve our Lord Yahushua with their own belly through good words and fair speeches, deceiving the hearts of the simple. All right, there's no confusion with this. All right, that law means what it means. It say what it says. All right, it doesn't mean you just bagging a chick. You spitting game. That's what they still teaching that. Come on, man. Just say that y'all trying to pander to the woman and you don't want to offend or hurt any women that follow you feelings. So I'm gonna end it right there, man. I just, I happened to catch this, and your spirit has made me do a quick response. But Lord willing, y'all were edified. Give all praise to y'all by Shem Yahushai. Shalom.